Questions, comments from the minutes? All those in favor, aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Informational items, monthly financial report. Julie, hello there.
It was already on. Can you hear feedback? I don't even know what to do with that. All right. I think good morning or good afternoon. Thank you, Chairman. I don't know what to do with the feedback. So in your report, we have March. So we're down one quarter. Not a ton has changed since the first two reports that I've done, so I feel like a broken record saying everything, but a couple things to highlight to give a little variety from the last couple months. Building permits usually by March are starting to see a little bit of increase, and we have remained more flat, and I think that has to do greatly with the inflation charges for building prices and everything. So the building permits just haven't been coming in. And then the other thing is with the posting of the budget amendment for the $7.5 million, all the departments, even general county, are good. They're underneath the 25% expected for period 3, so that's good. We don't have any departments to report for that. So then anything in the first subtotal, which we call, the property taxes, intergovernmental, all of those, anything that is below besides the building permits, like I said, is expected. Treasurers, we're not going to see anything to period 13. Intergovernmental is performing extremely well. Again, like last month, that has to do with the income tax and the PPRT tax. So looking forward, I think we're doing good. We'll have probably a lot more analysis as the budget continues this summer, really looking into the long-term effects of PPRT and income and where we expect those to go. But so far in 22, I think we're doing good and should have budget at or above expectations for revenue, and expenses we should be at or below for general fund. Any questions?
Any questions, anyone? Julie, great job. No questions.
Thank you. I apologize. It's a little distracting with all the buzzing.
Accounts payable 2022 review. Good afternoon, Heather.
Good afternoon. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Sorry, it's distracting for everybody, I think.
I think you hear it more than we hear it. So
Oh, okay. It's really loud in the back, so.
Okay.
So the finance department is continuing to work on streamlining account numbers to improve consistency in reporting, and we're in discussions on developing training for staff in all the departments across the county leading up to and then when we implement our ERP system. And in the meantime, we're developing a guide for each account number so it's easier for them to understand, for everybody to be aware of where certain items and expenses should be coded so it's consistent across the board. And we'll have it's taking us a little longer to compile it because of working through ERP and everything, but we'll get there hopefully sooner than later.
I know as you talked about that training you're going to be doing with the new system. So. Okay. Any other questions on accounts payable? And are you going to give the Headington Oaks report also?
I am. If you don't mind, I just hang out here for you.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, so last month we discussed a new reporting format for Headington Oaks, which you see in this month's packet. We're taking a different approach to the collectible accounts, and that's reflected both in the balance sheet and the restructured format of the accounts receivable report on page 2. And it's more accurately reflects the different types of payers that we're focusing on over the next several months. the past month, we've really been focused on regulatory reporting. We had several reports due in April and May, and that took a majority of our bookkeeper's time. As you know, she's only 2 days a week dedicated to Headington Oaks, and then the other time she works AP. So she spent most of her time gathering and researching information to provide to RSM, our consultant, for the Medicare cost report, which is due the end of this month. And then we'll be able to transition her time to focus on wrapping up collections on accounts. Just a little update for you, kind of give you a plan as to what we're working on there. We're working with the state's attorney's office on our largest hospital or hospice account balance, and we believe we're pretty close to reaching an agreement on that. We're trying to schedule a meeting with the state's attorney's office next week to get that wrapped up. And we've been connected with a consultant who worked for the state in healthcare and family services, who assists entities like us in maneuvering through the system. We've had a conversation with him, and he feels pretty confident that we'll be able to negotiate an amount on those Medicare or Medicaid accounts that are due. So we're going to be reviewing a contract over the next month, and we'll bring it to the June Finance Committee meeting for recommendation. And then finally, the other large payer is Medicare, and we're going to work with RSM to see if they'll be able to assist us in bringing those accounts to resolution also. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to field those.
Any questions on Headington Oaks? Yes, Mr. Ricker.
Just back on the balance sheet. First, I appreciate the updates. Just for my clarification, under the non-current assets, the less accumulated depreciation, is that, am I interpreting that correct, that we've had a accumulated depreciation of 38 million already on that property?
So there was an adjustment made on last year's financial statements, and then we did another one this year to have a more realistic sales, to reflect more realistically with the sales price that we're going to have. The auditors recommended that we write that down closer to what the sales price of what we'll receive for the building in the fall.
Okay, so you're adjusting the depreciation based on that, not based on a normal depreciation schedule or scale that would be out there for a tax purpose, right?
Correct. It's an impairment on the building, essentially.
Okay. No, thanks for the clarification.
Good question. Any other questions? Okay. While you're there, we had discussion at our last meeting about the ARPA funds, and you had to file a report with ARPA, and could you, I thought maybe we'd have that, or could you get all board members a copy of that?
Yes, I apologize for.
And then we may want to refine it a little bit so that for our own internal, for the committee's use, but let's make sure we bring that back to our next meeting.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Legislative update. Do you have anything for us, Scott? Talking about taking it off, but you left it on.
That's okay. Nothing specific. We are looking and reviewing the language of several bills that have been signed into law after this session. One specifically does address the property tax levy for the Veterans Assistance Commission. Jenny and I are still reviewing it and determining what the impact might be. Ways and Means Committee heard a little bit about that from the Veterans Assistance Commission superintendent yesterday. And so, once we've got that figured out, then we will be more than happy to report back about what the implications of that new law mean.
Thank you, Scott. If anyone's confused, because it wasn't on your agenda, it was on my agenda that I had that when we discussed and we said we were going to take that off the agenda, and I still have my written copy, so I apologize for that. Okay, we have one resolution for the Headington Oaks bond ordinance. Could I have a motion to put that on the floor? Okay, Betty, thank you. Okay. Heather's going to give that? Okay, thank you.
So at our March committee meeting and the subsequent board meeting, the board approved an ordinance authorizing the sale of refunding bonds related to the Headington Oaks Nursing Home as tax exempt. And after that approval, the county was required to publish a notice in the Journal Star seeking input from the residents of the county. The window to petition was open for 30 days. There were no petitions that were filed, so today is the next step in the process, and we request approval of a parameters board bond ordinance authorizing the issue of general obligation refunding bonds, alternate source revenue, for the purpose of refunding the alternate bonds of the county. If approved today, we will hold a TEFRA hearing at the June board meeting to allow for public participation one final time, and then bring it to vote before the full board. If it's approved, then we'll continue collaborating with our partners on restructuring the bonds in the best interest of the county. That would include paying down the principal balance with the sale amount, and $7.5 million from the general fund, which the board approved in March.
Any further questions on the bond referendum? Mr. Rand?
Jim, Mr. Chairman, how timely do we need to be given the Federal Reserve's hiking of our interest rates?
Sooner the better, without a doubt.
So that is our charge, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think Scott's got some possible inroads into that he's hoping that they'll
We do.
make it go
The,
faster.
the buyer has one contingency that they've been unwilling to waive, and that's a regulatory approval. There is, I think, a better than 50-50 chance they'll get that regulatory approval in mid-late July, which means we could go to market shortly thereafter. If they don't hit the July timeframe, then it is mid-September before they can get that regulatory approval.
All right. Any other questions on the bonds referendum? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Anything under miscellaneous? Anyone? I'd like to thank our sheriff. He gave me a lot of extra parking space out there today. That was very nice. I needed it for backing in, so thank you for that. Enjoy the weather this afternoon. That's it. Adjourned. Thank you.